It's showtime at Homestead, Miami.
Andre Baranowskis at the line, steals it in the Indy 250.
Gordon to Baxter's in trouble, there they go. Gordon to the wall, jumps right around.
Side by side on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Steve Morgan, the last lap pass, and the victory in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 18 in season number 5 of the NOFSRL Turkey Hill Series, and for the first time ever in the Turkey Hill Series, we head to the home state of Turkey Hill, the Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. This is the Pocono Metal Craft 250, 20 laps of action around this 2.5 mile speedway. And we're back doing the All Drivers broadcast as well. Trey Wright and Matt Tuck going to do the call for us here for this one on this Thursday evening. But it should be an interesting race. First time the Turkey Hill Series has ever come here. We only have ourselves 11 races left in the season. So how intense do you think the racing is going to be here today?
I think the racing is definitely going to be definitely going to be very intense. Not as intense as on the Chick-fil-A Cup Series circuit, as they've only got 3 or so races. Yes, 3 races before the cutoff in Indianapolis. But speaking of Indianapolis, that is the most comparable track to the Pocono Raceway. As you were saying, the Turkey Hill Series is the first time since their inception that they are traveling up here to the Pocono Mountains at the Tricky Triangle. So I think a lot of crew chiefs and drivers are going to be using their notes to be compared from Indianapolis to here at Pocono. As Indianapolis, it's very similar to Pocono, or should I say Pocono is very similar to Indianapolis. I mean, even the tunnel turn here at Pocono was modeled after turn 1 at Indianapolis. That's how you know how much an influence Indy had on this track. So drivers are going to be racing this track a lot like Indianapolis. So it's going to be interesting to see who can get it done here at the Pocono Raceway.
And it will be interesting to see how it all goes down. Nick Smith will be leading us to the green flag. And we'll have only 20 laps in this race, so it's a relatively short race as well. So with how short the race is, only being 20 laps, how do you think that's going to affect the guys starting in the back of this race, Matt? With those guys having to work their way through the field, there will be a pit stop in this race, but how aggressive will they be considering they don't have much time to get to the front?
Extremely aggressive, given that you only have 20 laps. The race will be over just about as quickly as it started, and it makes that pit stop and timing when you pit, getting off pit road and all that, and if it's under green or under yellow, all the more important because you don't want to be losing any track position on pit road.
We do know that there is a tie in the points standings. Jacob Hammond and Josh King, teammates at Logan Racing, 439 points each. Hammond with the tiebreaker as he has the better average finishing position in the first 17 races of the season. Then you have Parker Smith 21 points behind, Clark McKee 24 points behind, and John Andrews 30 points behind, all still very easily in contention for this Turkey Hill Series championship. It's Nick Smith starting to the inside of Carter Friesen on row number 1. We got Joshua Rush, Clark McKee's teammate, starting to the inside of Landon Smith Jr. in row number 2. Zach Rogers to the inside of Lathan Strickland in row number 3. Noah Clifton and Jeremiah Dwayne in row number 4. Then it's Bobo Jones, who will be racing in both of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series races, as he qualified earlier on in the Turkey Hill Hot Seat, to the inside of Josh Williamson in the number 39. 20 laps of action. These wider cards coming here to the Pocono Raceway. More downforce. Going to be an interesting race. Go ahead and take it away, Trey and Matt. Going to be a good one here for the Pocono Metal Craft 250.
Indeed it is. Matt, who is your pick to win here at the Pocono Raceway?
Well, seeing that track position is definitely important here, especially in a race that's not going to be very long. You want to be starting up front, in that front couple rows there. I'm going to say 73 of Bobo Jones is going to get it done and pick up another win on the year.
All right, that is a very good choice. Bobo Jones is starting at the front. I am going to go 2 positions in front of you and say the 46 of Noah Clifton, owner of Trans-Tasman Motorsports in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. He is going to be the one that gets it done here at the Pocono Metal Craft 200, I believe this is.
250.
Or 300, whichever it is. It's a 250. Okay, I was in between there, so close enough. As a pace car pulls off onto the longest pit road in the NOFSRL, Barney the flagman is going to wave the green flag. We're green flag racing here at the Pocono Raceway. As they head off into turn number 1, the most banked corner here at the Pocono Raceway, you saw Noah Clifton already dive out of line. There, 3 wides, they head out into Long Pond straightaway, Matt.
And Noah Clifton was the first guy who wanted to start making moves. He's already gained, I think he's gained about 2 or 3 spots there in the first corner already up to 4th. Bobo Jones behind him. They're stacked up 3 wide, couple rows there. But you got to if you're sitting up there and you're the pole sitter in the 10 car Nick Smith, you got to be loving the view out the back that you're seeing right now.
Indeed it is. As I roll through the flat turn 3, this track has only 3 tracks, and Nick Smith is in the wall! He's in the wall! He put himself in the wall! As the Burger King car is going to lead the first lap. That is a 98. Looking at the driver's list down here, Joshua Rush, he's going to quickly rush into the lead, and Carter Friesen, the Canadian, and Noah Clifton is already in second. Already these guys are kind of overdriving the flat turn 3.
You know, Nick Smith, they're kind of, just as you were saying, he was loving the view. He did not love that view. Got up into the outside wall, slid up way too high in turn number 3, and he's already lost about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots already just in the half a lap.
Oh man, Jeremiah Dwayne almost got hooked there. I apologize to interrupt you, but that could have been a nasty accident, especially if they hit that inside wall. We've seen cars on a different version of the tracks as Joshua Rush is going to roll through turn 3 nice and easy. But if they hit that inside wall, if they carang back onto the track, that is going to cause a major accident. Rush leads lap number 2.
And he got a lot of guys are rolling the exit of this turn 3 a lot higher than he would in some years. You know, a lot of times you want to come in higher than exit lower, but you got a lot of guys who are rolling out on exit of turn number 3, and you can see that early on. A lot of guys, they're not a lot of cars have gotten into the wall, but you have a lot of guys who are getting very close to that turn 3 outside retaining wall.
Indeed they are, and it's all about how you approach the corner, how you drive the entire 3 parts of the corner, the entrance, the apex, the apex and the exit. You overdrive it just a little bit, and you can end up like Nick Smith. Don't want to use him as a scapegoat, but that's the primary example we have at this point in the race. And Nick Smith, he's already fallen back. He's possibly outside the top 10 as we complete this lap. But Joshua Rush, ever since he's been taking the lead, he's been having a control of this race, but Carter Friesen, he's only a 10th behind us. So like I say, that the Canadian is going to come down on Joshua Rush. And meanwhile, behind them, we're going to go 3 wide going on the Long Pond straightaway. Down through Long Pond. Oh, excuse me.
My bad. But you got the 87 Ashton Boyd, Bobo Jones, Seth Cole, a whole bunch of cars all wadded up there as they race down the long chute here. And then you got Clifton starting like your pick to win today. Noah Clifton, he's looking real racy here so far in the early goings. Already made up a bunch of spots, and he's going to be gunning down for the next guy in line at Carter Friesen.
Yeah, and Clifton, he's going to go a little bit wide going through the exit of turn 3, but he is going to get a big run on that 23 of Carter Friesen. Joshua Rush, the first car on the inside lane. Behind them, it is side by side for the majority of the field, all the way back to Angel Olvera, or one of Angel Olvera's cars. I believe that's the 24 of Matthew Brown. He's all the way in the back there as we look through the field. Nick Smith falling back to the 9th position, and rounding out your top 10 is John Andrews in the 32. Other than that little hiccup in the beginning, pretty calm race, but we're already a quarter of their way through this, Matt. What do you think is going to happen in the last 75% of the race?
We'll have to see here. I don't know. I could be wrong. When does the pit window open? I'm assuming it's going to open.
I think we're looking at about 16 laps, I think, for this race. It's going to be close to the end of the race here, but they cannot make it the whole way through.
That is definitely going to be interesting. We saw the Chick-fil-A Cup Series race at Lime Rock, a similar situation. Meanwhile, Noah Clifton, he is all over the back bumper of that 23 as they head into turn 1. He might try to be getting his slipstream and possibly make a pass coming off of turn 1 onto the long pond straightaway. And Seth Cole in the final podium position. He's crawling his way up from starting deep mid-pack. And you have Joshua Rush, the 87 of Ashland Boyd, rounding out your top 5. Then Landon Smith Jr., Bobo Jones, John Andrews, the 93, why can I not remember, Zach Rogers, and then Nick Smith falling back on that outside lane. The outside lane does not roll well as the inside lane, and you're seeing why, along with Nick Smith not having a momentum, as we almost see contact between Zach Rogers and the 25 of Keyshawn Richardson going through turn 3. I think so far turn 3 and a little bit of turn 1 have been the trouble areas, even though normally turn 2 has been the trouble area. You see them single file down onto the front straightaway, and Carter Friesen continues to lead here.
Definitely, Clifton's still staying in his track so pretty well, and then you've got the 79 there of Seth Cole, who's looking. He wants to get his shot at the lead. Gets down into the inside, rolling through. A lot of guys rolling through 2 pretty well here. 3 seems to be, like you were saying, the trouble corner for some people. Not everybody, but you can see there's been some guys who've gotten into the outside wall. But Cole, Noah Clifton, you got to wonder if he maybe drove the tires off a little too aggressively, because he's starting to lose his track position that he had gained here a little early in the run.
Indeed, he is. Noah Clifton falls back to 3rd. And Joshua Rush, he wants first place back. He's going to be the first car on the inside lane, but we've kind of got a little bit of a Trump train going here. They're all single file throughout the majority of the field. Ashland Boyd is the first car outside and battle for the lead. Not a pass for the lead yet, but the way Seth Cole has been on that back bumper of that 23, it might be a pass for the lead as they head into turn 2, the tunnel turn. And Friesen, he's going to have a better exit on that outside lane, but they're still rear wheel well to front wheel. Front wheel well to rear wheel well. Try and say that 5 times fast, ladies and gentlemen. And Seth Cole falls back to 2nd place.
Seth Cole tried it getting into turn 2 there up north in the tunnel turn. Didn't have enough. Couldn't get the car down deep enough into that corner to then make it stick coming out of the turn, but it's got Joshua. These 2 getting side by sides, opening the door for Rush and Clifton to come back in along. I mean, for the most part, that's the rest of the top 10 who's still sitting right there. Top 10 only separated by 1.1 seconds. So it is it's a close race. Obviously, you can't mess around. See Cole going down here for the lead. See if he's going to get that.
He's going to have help. A lot of cars. Sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of cars, they went down to the inside lane. And Seth Cole, he's going to have a little bit of drafting help from Noah Clifton as I roll through turn 3 here at the Pocono Raceway. There's 3 separate turns, but we don't normally go to a triangular-shaped racetrack. I apologize if I'm making some mistakes here up in the commentary booth, but Seth Cole, he is going to the point. John Andrews is going to try and make a 3 wide going to turn 3, and Noah Clifton's going to try and make a 3 wide for the lead, but thinks better of it. Just about halfway here at the Pocono Raceway. What do you think of the race so far, Matt?
Well, you've got, they are slicing and dicing through the field. Seth Cole's loving the view out his bumper right now, but it could go haywire in a moment. You got to be careful too, because we are getting closer into the pit stop window. So we will see how much time you can make up here in these next couple of laps.
Indeed, it is. As we look through the field, the likeliness of a caution. Not very many cautions here at the Pocono Raceway, both in real life and in NR 2003, but we'll just have to wait and see. Cross flags this time by. We're halfway through the Pocono Metal 250 as, Christopher Alphaby is going to take the 63, I want to say that is, of Jonathan Logan. No, that's not the 63. The Patronus car down the inside. The 64 is 1 number off of Chloe Reiner down to the inside. That could have gotten pretty edgy there, but they all get out of it. They were, for the most part, all the way back to Logan Williams in the 37. They are, for the most part, single file through this entire pack. And Seth Cole is pulled out in front of Carter Friesen. And like you said, Matt, we have to start worrying about pit stops. Are those going to play? Those are going to play a factor here, and who's going to win this race? As you see, Bobo Jones, he's trapped on the outside lane. This is essentially a practice race for the 2 cup races that he's going to be in this weekend.
No, definitely this is a good time for him to get as adequate to the track as he possibly can, and he's kind of fallen off here a little bit later in the going on this run. But yeah, timing-wise, I mean, you almost wonder too. You want to be careful because you want to pit early enough so you can get the jump, but you also don't want to pit too late when anybody else who pits after you gets a few, or anybody else who pitted before you was already way up to speed, and then is able to just take off on you. But we will have to see. They're getting closer, no doubt about it. It's going to be pit stop time coming up here very shortly.
Indeed it was. Noah Clifton thought about it, thought better of it. Joshua Rush thought about it, and he went for it. Rush is now in 3rd place, and here comes John Andrews in the 32. He's going to move in the 4th. Noah Clifton falling back just a little bit. I think you're right, Matt. He has used up the tires on this run as somebody's in the wall. I think Landon Smith Jr. just gave a little love tap to the wall. But that could affect the tires, and they're back to single file racing. I expect these guys to come down the pit road anytime in the next 5 laps, but they definitely can't make it all the way. So very clean racing. Had a couple of edgy moments at the start of this race and midway through this race, but a relatively clean race for Pocono. And here comes Seth Cole. He's going to enter the field in front of Carter Friesen with 13 laps in the books.
John Andrews in the 32s quietly worked his way sitting into the picture. You gotta like where he's sitting with pit stops in the works coming up here short. Oh, Seth Cole!
Seth Cole! The caution's out! The caution is out, and Nick Smith! Just as I said that this race was relatively way out of caution, Parker Smith, Christopher Alphaby, and Nick Smith, all involved in the turn 3. It is, turn 3 definitely been Calamity Corner, and 2 instances in the same lap, and that is going to change the entire complexion of this race. And that is exactly what Seth Cole wanted to see. He was going to lose probably a lot more positions. But man, Carter Friesen is now in the catbird seat. But a rare caution here at the Pocono Raceway. I think a couple of guys just got all wadded up entering turn 3. I think Nick Smith, somebody probably just overdrove it. But man, pit stops are going to be interesting. Who's going to get the extra pit stop? But man, Parker Smith in the 44. Nick Smith, a civil war of Smiths, and unfortunately Christopher Alphaby was collaterally collected in that scrap. But they're probably going to restart with only a handful of laps to go. Actually, not probably. They are going to restart with, I'd say, 4 or 3 laps to go. So that is going to be definitely interesting to see how that plays out. But yes, every car is going to be coming down the pit road, some on for a longer period of time. But definitely going to be interesting, huh, Matt?
No, will be. That was kind of a lucky break, I guess, for Seth. Oh, somebody staying out? Is that the 48?
That is the 8 of Mark Allen.
Oh, we've got a lot of cars
staying out. I do not understand this strategy at all. I mean, this is the prime time for these guys to stay out. They're going to run out of fuel. So I do not understand that strategy at all. But you know what? Roll the dice. I mean, we've seen sometimes predictions of fuel aren't going to be the case. As pit stops, the money stop is underway here at the Pocono Raceway. And we see Carter Friesen getting that first stop. 2-tire stop for Jeremiah Dwayne.
Did a lot of guys go 2 tires fuel only?
Josh Williams, he's going to get out first with Jeremiah Dwayne. So 2-tire stop for a lot of these guys. As we see the rest of the cars pull off of pit road, but they are not going to be the leaders. I count 7 or so guys that stayed out. Actually, no, that's
about 7. Yeah, that's 7.
Yeah, that's
8. My bad, it's 8.
Yeah, it's roughly 7 drivers, and I completely forgot that my computer's touchscreen. I tried to count them, and I accidentally popped out. So I'm back here. And Mark Allen, and then so it's Mark Allen, Dale Salzman, who's in the 47 is Jacob Hammond, the Talladega winner, and then Igor Beretta, the 24 of Matthew Brown. And then the 48 of Dylan Young. Yeah, that's the 48, not the 24, Dylan Young. And then the 96 of Daniel Voiles, Hunter Blade. Those are the cars that stayed out. And then Josh Williams, Jeremiah Dwayne,
Logan Williams.
Logan Williams. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. And then you got the 80 of Zachary DeLello. And the 23 of Carter Friesen, who was the leader coming to the caution flag. He is going to start, and I believe that is the 11th or 12th position. So Carter Friesen, he's going to be starting a little ways back, but this is going to be interesting. So before they go green, we should probably see what brought out the caution here at the Pocono Raceway. A 3-car incident in the 3rd turn. Let's see what happened to bring out the caution in the Pocono Metal 250. So you're going to watch here. So a lot of these cars, they are slowing down in response to Seth Cole pancaking the wall. And Jordan Lopez did not get the message in time. And unfortunately, Parker Smith is a victim of his ARCA brakes here. And then Nick Smith on Smith action right here in the 3rd turn of Pocono. And then Christopher Alpha B pancakes, just T-bones the side of that 10 car. And then Josh Williamson, he's an unfortunate bystander in this. So Jordan Lopez, he was the culprit in all of this. And unfortunately, 3 good guys had to be taken out of this. I think they are still on the racetrack, but man, a lot of hard hits here on the 3rd turn of the Pocono Raceway, and this is going to change the entire complexion of this race.
So just watch here, the nowhere big checkup in front, and then you just got the 22 car of Jordan Lopez out of nowhere, completely plows through Parker Smith. Christopher Alphaby, fresh off a Daytona 500 win recently. No luck here today at Pocono for him. You got Nick Smith involved, who was the pole sitter. His day just went from good to bad to ugly in a hurry, but it's a tough one there. Well, not necessarily even Jordan Lopez's fault there, just everybody checked up in front of him, and there was an incident. We got a couple guys taken out of this one here at Pocono.
So on board here with Christopher Alphaby just heading into the final turn just in front of him, and man just T-bones the side of that 10 car passenger side door, and luckily nobody else hit them. That's something that I just noticed on this view. It could have been a lot worse if Alphaby or one of the Smiths walked down the racetrack and got clipped by another car. That could have been an even scarier incident. But like I said earlier, this is going to be the what it's called, you know what, I'm not even gonna say that. It's gonna change the entire complexity of this race, ladies and gentlemen. So sit back and watch, because we're gonna have an old western shootout here in the Pocono Mountains, here in the Pocono Metal Craft 250. So unfortunately for one of the drivers that decided to roll the dice, they unfortunately rolled a 1. Dale Salzman, unfortunately, I believe he ran out of fuel, had to go and top off, so effectively that strategy play is effectively going to ruin any chances of him winning this race. Could possibly get a good finish if any of the top 7 guys that stayed out potentially run out of fuel, which I think is highly likely in this scenario. But Mark Allen, he's going to lead the field back to the green flag with 3 laps to go. They could possibly stretch it and surprise us all. We'll just have to wait and see. Bonnie the Flagman, he pulls the green flag out. We're back under racing here at the Pocono Raceway.
This is going to be interesting, though, because not only do the guys back have more fuel, they have fresher tires, but already down in the turn 1, Jacob Hammond is absolutely wasting no time. He wants the lead. He's going to get there to the inside, and I think he's going to at least get side by side with the 8 of Mark Allen down the long straightaway. And if these two got to be careful, because Igar Barreto sitting there lurking if either of these two makes a mistake here.
Door to door, heading through turn 3. We see somebody going wide. That is Matthew Brown in the 24. And like you said, Igor Barreto, if these guys make contact. Oh, Matthew Brown, I think, is coming down the pit road. He's checking up a little bit, or he just had to check up in general. But watch for these guys to potentially come down the pit road. And they are.
Down pit road.
And the strategy did not play out, but Zachary Jalolo in the 80 and Carter Friesen, they're going to go door to door, coming to 2 laps to go in the Pocono Metal Craft 300. This just got a lot more saucy as Carter Friesen, the Canadian, is back in control, dual control with Zachary Jalolo. Actually, I'm not sure if Jalolo stayed out or not. I think he's one of the ones that stayed out because Friesen is just pulling away from that 80 car. And yeah, just tough break for a lot of these guys. Jeremiah Dwayne had to come back down the pit road. I think an issue on that car.
In the
So tough break for a
37,
lot of these guys.
the 37 of Logan Williams, who was the fastest car who had pit before that, he came down to pit road again for some reason, but Carter Friesen, he is out front and he is loving this here at Pocono, and he's going to take the white flag.
Yeah, 1 lap to go. White flag in the air here in the Pocono Metal Craft 250, and I think unless Carter Friesen completely overdrives any of these turns, I think it's curtains for the rest of this field. But like I said, we've seen drivers overdrive turn 3 all day. This could possibly happen, especially in a clutch scenario like this. With Friesen down the long pond straightaway for the final time.
Friesen, all he's got to do is just hit his marks 2 more times. He's going to slide it through turn 2. No worries there. And then back down the short chute. You got Clifton, you got Rush making all their runs for it there to try and gain the last spots here. But Carter Friesen, probably the fastest car on the track all day. He's going to slide it through turn 3 for the final time. He's going to hit the front straightaway to come see the checkers.
Indeed he is. On to the front straightaway, checkered flag in the air. The Canadian Carter Friesen wins the Pocono Metal Craft 250. Well, that was quite the interesting race. We actually saw a caution flag here at the Pocono Raceway. We saw some pit strategy where a lot of guys, unfortunately, did not roll the dice properly. As we see the 48 of Dylan Young, he was on pit road there for a minute. But at the end of the day, after the smoke clears, Carter Friesen from Manitoba, somewhere in Manitoba, I'm pretty sure, in Canada, is your winner here at the Pocono Metal Craft 250 at the Pocono Raceway.
Definitely a very interesting race there, no doubt about it. Second win of the season for Carter Friesen. He won at the Lucas Oil Raceway about a month ago in Indianapolis, and he gets one here at the Pocono Raceway in one of the wackier races I've seen. Like Matt was saying, I do not understand what that strategy was with Mark Allen, all those guys, even Logan Williams, Hunter Blade, a couple of guys who had come down the pit lane. I just don't get it. I don't know what happened to those guys. One guy failed to finish. That was Christopher Altheby, who was involved in an accident. But Carter Friesen, second win of the season. Josh King will take the points lead back from Jacob Hammond because Hammond was one of those guys who pulled that strategy, and Josh King finished well ahead of him. So King will retake the points lead heading into Indianapolis next Friday. But final thoughts on this race, guys. Just a wacky race, and what do you think we're going to see in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series this weekend?
I guess I'll start the Chick-fil-A Cup Series race. Those cars do have a bit higher not higher downforce, quite the opposite, in fact. Excuse me. But anyway, the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, they got higher horsepower and lower downforce, so they're not going to be as glued to the tracks as Turkey Hill Series cars were. So I think we are going to see a lot of single-file racing, not as many passes for the lead. But I do expect the race tomorrow. I think that the second race is going to be better than the first race because I think a lot of teams are going to use tomorrow's race in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series as a testing session, try and feel out the track, trying to do all of that. But definitely going to think that this doubleheader weekend is definitely going to pay off for these guys. And there's only 3 races left until the playoffs, so it's go time for a lot of these guys.
No, I mean definitely you got crunch time down here towards the end of the regular season, and Carter Friesen scoring a win late in the regular season here is going to boost his playoff seeding. But yeah, like you said, for some the right strategy call there and just taking advantage there, and then others you do still have to kind of scratch your head. I don't know what the point situation was like for some of those guys, but that's not even in this late in the season when you try get going for a win, but you can't sacrifice that many points too while you're at something like that.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Jacob Hammond was one of those guys. He was tied for the points lead with Josh King coming into this thing. And Clark McKee, another guy who pulled that strategy, apparently, was also inside the top 5 in points. Parker Smith, who was involved in the accident, ended up gaining a lot of positions because of that. And John Andrews in the 32 didn't pull that strategy, and he'll actually benefit from it. But there are no playoffs, no chase in the Turkey Hill Series. The strict points champ the whole way through, so Carter Fraser's going to help himself out in the championship, and that'll definitely help him in the points. We'll have to see where he ends up, but you guys will see the points here in a moment. Thank you guys so much for watching. And tomorrow, pretty big day tomorrow. We got the first of 2 Chick-fil-A Cup Series races tomorrow. The Kalahari Resorts 350 at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, IndyCar from Richmond. 67 laps down there. Should be a good one. But thank you guys so much for watching. Huge thanks to Trey Wright and Matt Tuck for calling this race, and congratulations to Carter Fraser for winning the Pocono Metal Craft 250 from the Pocono Raceway. Next race in the Circle Series going to be the Pengrave 250 at Indianapolis next Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later.